A teacher is a compass that activates the magnets of curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom. Good morning to the August gathering present over here to witness the third Children's Science Conclave that aims at developing scientific temperament and kindle interest towards science, and much required for the nation building these days. The third day Children's Science Conclave, organized by the Department of Science, has attracted a lot of students from standard 3 to 5 registered for the program, having its first day theme as Basic Science for Sustainable Development. So, from a very young age, the stars, the galaxies, moons, the solar systems have amazed us. Yes or no, students? It has always intrigued us with questions about their very existence. Where are they situated? What are their structures comprised of? Etc. So, without doing much delay, let me take the opportunity to invite Sir Sri Nikunj Bihari Sahu, who served as an educational officer at Regional Science Center Bhubaneswar and Regional Science Center Dhenkanal. Sir is a very popular science writer. Sir's writings are published in Daily Samaj, Dharitri, Vigyan Digant, Odisha Post, etc. Sir regularly writes blogs on science. Sir happens to be a very down-to-earth person who has dedicated his entire life for the cause of science. Sir, you are heartily welcome. Sir has also created a group in social media entitled The Curious Group, popular for quiz, science activities, and scientific videos. Sir, who happens to be an intellectual and a witty person, imparts knowledge to numerous teachers as well as students all over Odisha. Sir shares a very good rapport with the teaching community of Odisha. So now it's time to listen to Sir. So please put your hands together for Nikunj Bihari Sir. So is connected with us. Let me apprise everyone here that Sir is connected with us through virtual mode. Sir, it's over to you.
Am I audible to all of you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Can I begin the program now? Hello, can I begin the program now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're
Good
audible
morning,
as well as
children.
visible.
Good morning. Okay, thank you, madam. Good morning, children. A very good morning to all. Presently, I am in Bhopal. I am working as education officer in Regional Science Center in Bhopal in the state of Madhya Pradesh. It's a very chilly and cloudy morning in Bhopal. Temperature around 19 degrees Celsius. I'm still indoor. I'm not gone to office yet. I wish you all the best for your children science conclave that you have been organizing these days. I wish all the success and all the best to your program. And the topic for me today, life in the solar system. As you know, Earth is the only known planet in the whole of solar system to possess different forms of life. In my presentation today, I'll try to analyze whether life do exist in other planets of the solar system apart from the Earth. First of all, I'll request President Abu to please play my PowerPoint presentation. Please start my PowerPoint presentation. I request President Sir to please start my PowerPoint presentation. My topic today is life in different parts of our solar system, apart from our own planet Earth. I request President Sir to please start my PowerPoint presentation. Am I audible to you? Hello. Am I audible to you? Am I audible to you? Hello.
Yes, sir, you
Am
are
I
audible.
audible to
Please
you?
continue.
You have to make PowerPoint presentation, PPT. I'm working as a officer in the regional science center. Solar system. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So first of all, I will discuss about the sun, because the sun is what is sun? Sun is a star, and sun is a yellow color star having a temperature of some 6,000 degrees Celsius temperature. Sun, the sun is an average size star. It is not too large, not too small. In size, it is just average. It has its own source of energy. Sun is primarily consists of hydrogen gas. Sun's interior, sun's core is actually a huge nuclear reactor where hydrogen nuclei fuse combine together to form helium nucleus. In that process, sun is emitting a lot of energy in the form of heat and light. Because of sun's light only, we are able to see things in the earth. Had there been no sunlight, then the earth would have been a darker world. Because of sun's heat only, we get plenty of heat, plenty of warmth on the earth's surface. And earth is not very cold because we receive heat directly from the sun. The sun gives us energy because sun is a source of energy. It consists of hydrogen gas, and sun has existed since 4.5 billion years. Sun was born 4.5 billion years ago, and sun will continue to live another 4.5 billion years. The total lifespan of sun, the age of the sun, is almost 9 billion. The sun is the middle stage. You can say sun is in the young stage now. But someday will come when sun will die. That is far away from us. Sun will die in another 5 billion years from now, when it will run out of hydrogen. Sun is consuming hydrogen for a giant, and by this process it is emitting energy. What will happen when all this hydrogen sun is completely consumed? Sun is going to die someday. But my topic today, that whether life exists on different parts of our solar system. If we examine whether life is possible on the sun, answer is a blunt no, because sun is very hot. What I told you, its temperature is 6,000 degrees Celsius at the surface, and almost 150 million degree Kelvin temperature at its core. It's very hot. So living on the sun is beyond imagination. Next slide, please. Let's move the next slide. Yes. That after sun, if you travel outward from the sun to the edge of our solar system, the first planet is Mercury. We'll examine whether life is possible on Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, but because it is closest planet, it is very hot. It is the second hottest planet of the solar system. It's 167 degrees Celsius. It is more than the boiling point of water. It's more than the temperature water will melt away. So if we visit Mercury, if someday children go to Mercury, ride in space, and astronaut will land on the surface of Mercury, will find huge temperature. 167 degrees Celsius. It's more than 100 cells. Okay, your and your blood and everything that you contain up in the body will immediately talk to. Very cruel and planet. Temperature is more than the boiling point. But what I've written in the caption, there are some point of Mercury which are at very low, cold and frigid temperature. But on an average, Mercury is a very hot planet. Temperature is 167 degrees Celsius. Life is not possible at Mercury. Moreover, Mercury has no atmosphere. Mercury has no air. There's no water. So how can life survive on Mercury? One more fact about Mercury I've given. Its rotation period about the axis is 59 days, and which is almost the same as its revolution period around the sun, 88 days. Mercury's rotation period is 59 days, and the revolution period is 88 days, almost the same, unlike most of the planets. But if you consider whether life can exist on Mercury, answer is again known. It is a very hot planet. It has no air. It has no water. Okay. Next slide, please. If we move outwards in our solar system, next slide, please, then we'll meet the second planet from the sun, that is Venus. Venus is the hottest planet of the solar system because Venus is primarily composed of a thick cloud of carbon dioxide gas. This atmosphere consists of a thick cloud of carbon dioxide gas. And the carbon dioxide atmosphere traps the heat coming from the sun. It doesn't let the cloud. It doesn't absorbing the heat from the sun. Because of this accumulation of heat within the atmosphere of Venus, Venus is the hottest planet of the solar system. Its temperature is more than the temperature of Mercury. But hence, temperature conditions are not conducive for life to exist on Venus because it is the hottest planet of the solar system. Moreover, there are some cloud of very toxic sulfuric acids in its upper atmosphere. Always it rains highly toxic, highly strong sulfuric acid on Venus. That's why life is not possible on Venus also. Some little few facts about Venus I like to give. Venus is called the morning star. It is also called the evening star. It is the brightest planet that you can see with naked eye in the sky. Venus undergoes stages, just like we see the crescent moon, we see the quarter moon, we see a little more than the moon that is called moon. Sometimes we see the full phase of the moon called the full moon, and there is no moon at all. These are the phases of the moon. So much like the phases of the moon, Venus also shows different phases, different changing shapes that you can see with the help of a telescope. You look to the Venus, we'll be able to see the changing shapes. But the fact that if you consider whether, ask a question, whether life can exist on Venus, answer is again no, because Venus is very hot. Venus is very hot. It's definitely the hottest planet of the solar system. Its temperature is more than the temperature of Mercury. It is highly toxic atmosphere. It's made of toxic gases like carbon dioxide and sulfur. Venus with a spacecraft and land Venus because of the high atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide cloud will be crushed and crumbled pieces. And you will be burned away, tremendous traveling to the planet Venus, and the body will be inhaling the high strong space that is constantly on the Venus surface. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Please move the slide. Please move the slide. Yes. Earth. Earth is the densest planet of the solar system. Its density is the maximum because it has an iron core in it. And if we examine what are the factors which are responsible for sustaining life on Earth, then we find the Earth is at the right place of the sun. It needs to be. Earth is not closer to the sun like Mercury and Venus. Earth is also not far away from the sun like Uranus and Neptune. So Earth is at the place where it gives the amount of sunlight which is required to maintain moderate range of temperature. In Earth's temperature ranges, the chief can exist in all its three different forms. Another exists that you find in the ice caps and glaciers. Water can exist in liquid form that you find in Earth's temperature ranges. Water is in three different forms. That is water, frozen ice, and Earth is also having an atmosphere that predominantly consists of life-sustaining gases. We have 21% of oxygen, that oxygen we breathe. We have also carbon dioxide by a little amount, 0.03% of Earth's atmosphere composed of carbon dioxide. But Earth has an oxygen because of the oxygen we breathe. So it's clear, it's highly that contains various life-sustaining gases in the right amount. And also Earth is surrounded by a layer of ozone gas in the upper atmosphere. In the lower stratosphere, we have a layer absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun and its life in Earth. This is the Next slide, please. Next slide, please. If we travel still outward in our journey of the solar system, we'll come to this planet, red planet Mars. Mars can support life for This is the only planet in the solar system which has the potential, which has the right condition to support life form. That is because Mars in many respects is similar to Earth. As Earth turns around this axis in 24 hours, similarly Mars period of rotation about this axis almost 24 hours. As Earth's axis tilt with respect to its orbital plane by an amount of 23.5 degrees, Mars axis tilt to its orbital plane is also 23.5 degrees. So much like Earth, there is also change of seasons on the Mars. As on Earth, we get different seasons around the year. We get summer, we get winter, we get spring, we get autumn. So Mars also there is a cycle of seasons. But in the Mars, the period of each season is double than the period of the season on Earth. As for example, summer. There are 3 months of summer on Earth: April, May, and June. 3 months of summer on Earth. But if we consider the Mars, there are 6 months summer on Mars, because Mars revolution period around the Sun is almost double than the revolution period of Earth around the Sun. So my point is that Mars is in many respects similar to Earth. It takes 24 hours to once rotate about its axis. It has also an axial tilt with respect to its orbital plane. There are seasonal changes on the Mars, much like the Earth. Moreover, the Mars has an atmosphere like the Earth, but it's a very thin atmosphere and predominantly carbon dioxide rich atmosphere. Mars has a moderate range of temperature. Its minimum temperature is minus 65 degrees Celsius, much like the temperature prevailing in the Arctic or Antarctic. And maximum temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, much like the winter in India. So Mars is having a moderate range of temperature where life can exist. Very important, I repeat it again. Mars has a moderate range of temperature where life can survive. It has, moreover, Mars has water at its poles, but water is not there in liquid form. Water is there in frozen form. So if astronauts from Earth goes to Mars and land near the poles of the Mars, they will find huge ice caps, huge glaciers on Mars consisting of frozen water. So our astronauts they will bring some ice from the Martian ice caps with their heaters, or with the sunlight, they will melt it and they will get liquid water and they will drink, and they can live comfortably on the Mars for many, many days. So Mars is the only planet of the solar system that has the potential to support life. Therefore, most of our missions are targeted towards Mars. In 1976, NASA, the American Space Agency, sent 2 rovers to Mars, known as Viking 1 and Viking 2. After that, NASA sent a series of missions to Mars called Pathfinder. It also sent 2 Mars exploration rovers that can move on the Mars surface. This is called Spirit and Opportunity. NASA also sent recently in 2020 another mission to Mars called Curiosity. Our Indian Space Research Organization ISRO has also sent a mission to Mars under the name Mangalyaan. So there are so many missions to Mars have been sent to detect the possibility of life. But as you know, Mars has no life so far, but it has conditions that may support life in future. Mars has no ocean layer. If some life do exist on Mars, that must be existing beneath the soil, protecting them from the harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from the sun, because Mars has no life so far. But someday we'll visit Mars, and as my photograph shows in the slide, we'll build a home, we'll erect a dome. Inside the dome, we'll live there. We'll bring water from the Martian poles, we'll melt it and we'll drink it, we'll plant trees and plants, vegetables, apples will grow, then vegetables will grow, potatoes, brinjals. So someday we'll be able to do a bit of agriculture on Mars, cultivation of different crops, but we have to live inside a huge, huge dome. So it's expected that humans will near future go to Mars and build their homes and large colonies, and they'll inhabit the red planet Mars. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system. We'll examine whether life is possible on Jupiter. Answer is again no. That is because Jupiter is a gaseous planet. It is entirely consists of hydrogen gas. It has no solid surface. So if an astronaut goes with a spacecraft, it cannot land on Jupiter because of its gaseous atmosphere, hydrogen gas. Temperature is very low. Temperature is very low because it is far away from the sun. Moreover, Jupiter is often called a pale star because in many respects it behaves like a star. It has some source of energy. What we call a star, if a body is having a source of energy of its own, light and heat, we'll be calling it a star. Jupiter has some source of energy. It gives some light and heat, but it's somewhat failed to become a perfect star because it has little mass. It has less mass than a star should have. Its mass is below the critical mass. That's to make a star shining. So although Jupiter is having small energy source at its interior, but it has this energy source is not strong enough to keep Jupiter shining like a star, much like our sun. That's why Jupiter is called a pale star, and such pale stars are also called a brown dwarf. Jupiter is a brown dwarf. Jupiter takes around 10 hours to rotate about its axis. Only 10 hours, very fast rotation. Earth takes 24 hours, being a small planet, to rotate about its axis. Jupiter takes 10 hours, a very fast rotation. Due to this very fast rotation, huge and violent storms always ravage the Jupiter's surface. So it is a world of violent storms. And if you look at the Jupiter's surface with a telescope, we'll be seeing a huge red spot. The red spot is actually a violent storm. So if I ask a question whether life is possible on Jupiter, again the answer is no. Because answer is no, that's because Jupiter has no solid surface to live on. Its atmosphere is made up of hydrogen gas that is not suitable for sustaining life. And there is always violent storms raging on Jupiter. So this world cannot support life form. One more information I'd like to give you regarding Jupiter. This is the second planet seen to the naked eye. The brightest planet seen to the naked eye, as I told, is Venus. Jupiter is the second brightest body seen to the naked eye. Please move the next slide, please. After Jupiter, we'll meet Saturn. Please move the next slide, please. Saturn is a ringed planet. It's the lightest planet of the solar system. If we put Saturn in the ocean of water even bigger than Saturn, if we're able to do so, then we'll be surprised to find Saturn will float like a piece of paper thrown in water because its density is less, average density less than the density of water. Saturn, because of its far away distance from the sun, its average temperature is minus 140 degrees Celsius, much below the freezing point of water, where no liquid water can exist. Moreover, its atmosphere contains various toxic gases, predominantly hydrogen, helium, methane, and ammonia. No oxygen in it. That's why Saturn has no air to breathe in, no water for various life processes, and temperature is very low where liquid water doesn't exist, cannot exist. So life is not possible on Saturn either. One more information regarding Saturn I like to give. Saturn is surrounded by a beautiful ring, but that no other planet do possess. The ring is not a continuous ratio. It is made up of many chunks of particles, chunks of bodies, starting from the size of a mustard grain, the size of a huge mountain. So millions and millions of these make up the Saturn's ring, and they go around the Saturn, much like the satellites. But because you are able to observe Saturn from a very vast distance from the Earth, you are not able to see the individual pieces of matter that make up the Saturn's ring. What you see, a continuous ring and system of ringlets surrounding the Saturn. The ring is believed to the left of over debris of a Saturn moon. Sometimes some scientists believe there was once a satellite moon moving around Saturn. It was Saturn torn apart because of Saturn's tremendous gravity, and the remnants of that moon formed the ring, and this is the origin of the mystery of the ring. But if I ask a question whether life is possible in Saturn, again answer is no. Because it has no oxygen, it has no water, it has no ocean layer either, and it is a cold and frigid world. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. If you continue our journey further, we'll meet the planet Uranus. Uranus axis is highly tilted. While for most planets, axis is either vertical or tilted by very little angle from the vertical, Uranus axis is highly tilted. It almost points toward the sun. So you can tell Uranus lies on its sides with its axis pointed toward the sun, and with its axis pointed toward the sun, it spins like a top and moves around the sun on its orbital plane. So because its axis is pointed directly toward the sun, the seasons are very long on Uranus, or there is no season changes at all. As for example, the summer season on Earth lasts for 3 months. Winter season also lasts for 3 months. Autumn and spring also lasts for 3 months. But if you go to Uranus, summer season lasts for 20 years. So 20 years of scorching summer. Will you love to have that? No. There will be 20 years of the cold winter. Will you love to have that? No. So Uranus is a planet with long seasons or no seasonal changes at all. Its atmosphere also doesn't contain any air. Its average temperature is minus 195 degrees Celsius, which is very cold, where liquid water cannot exist in liquid form. So life is not possible, but even as either. Next slide, please. Neptune, okay. Neptune is the farthest planet of the solar system. It is the coldest planet of the solar system because of its large distance from the sun. The coldest temperature in Neptune is minus 210 degrees Celsius, much below the freezing point of water. So water cannot exist in liquid form on Neptune. Moreover, it is the windiest planet of our solar system. The wind speed at its equatorial region is more than 1,000 kilometers per hour. In the super cyclone that ravaged Odisha in 1999, almost some 23 years ago, maximum wind speed was 300 kilometers per hour. But for Neptune, the wind speed is 1,000 kilometers per hour. So very strong winds always reach low on the Neptune surface. So cyclones, huge cyclones are permanent there. Its winds are 5 times stronger than the Earth's winds and 3 times stronger than the Jupiter's winds. Neptune is not seen by naked eye. It requires a telescope to be seen. It is the coldest planet of the solar system. But life cannot exist on Neptune because no air, no water. It is a cold, frigid world. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So having found no evidence of life on different planets of our solar system, let us examine some moons of our solar system. First, our own moon. The moon is a captured satellite of Earth, captured by Earth's gravity. So that's why you often call the moon is gravitationally locked to the Earth. Moon is a heavily cratered surface. If you look to the moon with a telescope, we find it is full of craters when deep holes are there. These craters are formed because of meteorite impacts. Moon has no atmosphere, no life can survive there. There is also no water. Moon always shows the same face towards the Earth because its rotation period about its axis is almost the same as the revolution periods about the Earth, 27.3 days. So because of the equality of these two periods, rotation period and revolution period, Moon always shows the same side towards the Earth. Moreover, Moon spins very slow about its axis. It takes some 27.3 days, almost 28 days to once move, rotate about this axis. That means there are 14 days daytime, 14 days night time. On Earth, we have only 12 hours day, 12 hours night. On Moon, 14 days gets daylight, sunlight, 14 days remains away from the sunlight. So there is extreme difference of temperatures between its day and night sides because of its slow spin. While daytime temperature is as high as 120 degrees Celsius above the boiling point of water, nighttime temperature dips to minus 130 degrees Celsius below the freezing point of water. So because of this extreme temperature difference during the daytime and the nighttime, and because there is no atmosphere, no water, no ozone layer, life is not possible either on our own natural satellite, that is the moon. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I've been discouraged by the fact that life cannot exist on a natural satellite moon. We'll examine whether life can prevail on some other moons of the planets of our solar system. So our first search should be the moon of Jupiter, that is called Europa. Europa is a moon of Jupiter, a little smaller than our own moon. It has a thin atmosphere that composed of oxygen for life, but is okay. So I discovered Europa and the surface, almost the plain surface. Below surface, this is made of ice. You find a ocean of liquid water. Scientists think that some days in this huge ocean of liquid water, some microbial life may germinate, and that will ultimately perpetuate to the pole of the moon Europa. So Europa is a strong candidate for a scientist to believe that it may give birth to life in some distant future from now. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. We will examine another moon called Enceladus. This is an icy moon of Saturn. It is a prime target for search of life in the solar system because we have observed it through a spacecraft called Cassini. NASA has sent a spacecraft called Cassini to Saturn to look to the Saturn and its moons. So the Cassini spacecraft found that the surface of Enceladus is covered again with ice, and scientists are speculating that there may be again an ocean of liquid water below this icy surface. And we have observed by the Cassini spacecraft that jets of gases are coming out from within the surface, icy surface. It is spreading to the skies of Enceladus with these jets, with these streams of particles that we're finding out, erupting out from the surface of this moon. We're finding it contains some materials, some matters which are necessary for life. Within these jets, we have found there are some essential materials for life. There are oxygen, there are amino acids, which are the prime necessity for building proteins and the genes. There are various life-sustaining materials has been found out in the jets that is coming out from within the icy surface of the Enceladus. So scientists are believing that in some distant future, life may be created in this vast ocean of liquid water, and the essential materials that the moon does have, they may synthesize together to form small primordial life like bacterial life, and from this primordial life, a diverse way of life may form, and it will ultimately perpetuate the whole of this moon, Enceladus. So, next slide, please. Okay. So here in this slide, I have tried to give a comparison of the sizes of different planets of our solar system. As you see, here is the last planet of our solar system. It is followed by Saturn. Then it is third largest planet of the solar system. Is Uranus. Fourth largest planet of the solar system is Neptune. Okay. Fifth largest planet of the solar system is the Earth. Sixth largest planet of the solar system is Venus. Venus is often called the twin sister of Earth because its size is almost the same as the size of Earth. It is the sixth largest planet. Seventh largest planet of the solar system is Mars, and the smallest planet of the solar system is Mercury. Okay, so we have examined different planets of our solar system and some of the potential moons for sustaining life. But we have found that we have not found any life yet on other planets apart from the Earth. So Earth is the only planet. Please move the slide. Earth is the only planet to have life forms. That is because Earth is having atmosphere, Earth is having the right temperature, Earth is having a layer of ozone layer to protect us from the harmful radiations. Okay, so Earth is having life. Please move the next slide. But due to different pollutions and man's interference with nature, Earth is increasingly becoming inhospitable for life. We are polluting air, we are cutting down trees, we are polluting soil, we are polluting water. So Earth is increasingly becoming unsupportive for life. And if the trend goes on, then Earth may become much like other planets of the solar system, where temperature will be very high due to greenhouse effect, and weather phenomena will be inhospitable because of the climatic changes. And so we have to sustain life on the Earth. So we have to contribute to maintain life on the Earth. So we have to plant trees so that it gives enough of oxygen for us to breathe in. We should not pollute the source of water so that we have enough pure water to drink. We should not consume much of electricity. It should not waste energy. If you waste energy, then we have to burn fossil fuels that will again pollute the air and the atmosphere. That may cause acid rain. So we should plant trees so that there will be balance between different gases in our atmosphere. Trees gives us oxygen. They absorb carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide sinks. So we should plant trees. We should create forests. We should not use non-biodegradable items or single plastics. We should also maintain the fertility of the soil. And we should also cultivate eco-friendly practices so that life on Earth will be maintained for many, many years to come. Thank you. Thank you. If children do have some questions, they can have some questions.
Any questions? Only one or two questions we'll take today.
Sir, I have a doubt that why all the planets are not in same size.
Planets are not of the same size. As you know, Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system, and Mercury, the smallest planet of the solar system. In the size, Earth occupies the 5th rank in size. Okay, it is believed that all the planets are formed from a solar nebula, when a huge mass of a cloud of gas and dust was there in some part of the universe, and that becomes cooled, because of the cooled becomes solidified, masses become solidified, and this becomes the planet. But some planets, some parts becomes more cooled, and some planets become less cooled, okay, because it's huge mass. Okay, so we cannot make sure that all the parts of this huge solar nebula will be equally amount of cooled. So when they cooled and solidified, the parts of the solar nebula which becomes more cooled, they gathered more mass. Okay, they become huge, largest planets, one of largest planets. But the part of the solar nebula that gets less cooled in course of time, they gather less amount of mass. They become smaller in size. So because of inequality of the cooling process of the solar nebula that formed during the beginning part of the evolution of a solar system, inequality of the cooling system. Okay, so the amount of solidification becomes different. That's why we find planets of different masses, different sizes now. Very good question to ask.
Next question.
Sir, I have a doubt that if Mercury is the closest planet, then why it is not hottest?
Mercury is the closest planet, but certainly it is not the hottest one. Hottest one is Venus. Mercury has no atmosphere. Okay, it is the atmospheric gases that traps most of the heat received from the sun. Mercury has no atmosphere, but Venus do have an atmosphere that consists of a thick cloud of carbon dioxide gas. The carbon dioxide, because of its very property, can trap most amount of heat received from the sun. This is due to an effect called greenhouse effect. So Venus atmosphere, because of its high carbon dioxide presence, retains most of the heat received from the sun. So heat is constantly pouring into the Venus atmosphere. No heat is able to go out. So it is like a one-way pump. Okay. So because heat is constantly being accumulated within the Venus atmosphere because of greenhouse effects, Venus is the hottest planet because of the greenhouse effect. Okay, the answer is greenhouse effect prevailing on Venus. Mercury has no greenhouse effect. Mercury has no atmosphere. That's why Mercury is not the hottest, although it is the closest. Venus is indeed the hottest because of simple answer, greenhouse effect.
Next question.
Sir, how can Mars sustain life if it does not have if it has a weak magnetic field?
Okay, good question. Mars can sustain life. Mars cannot sustain life of its.
How can Mars sustain life if it has a weak magnetic field?
Okay, child. Weak magnetic field has nothing to do with the sustenance of life. Life needs air, water, and right amount of temperature. Okay, magnetic field has nothing to do with the sustenance of life. Okay, Earth is also having a weak magnetic field. Earth's magnetic field is not very strong enough, but Mars can sustain life because it has the right temperature, much like the Earth. It has seasonal changes, much like the Earth. Its rotation period is a period about the axis, is also much like the Earth. Okay, then it has a thin layer that contains some amount of oxygen. It has also water in frozen form. So because of its most essentials for life is fulfilled, satisfied on Mars, so Mars is a right candidate to search life there. But what you told, magnetic field has nothing to do for the sustenance of life.
So the last question that we're going to take. The last question. Everyone is curious to ask questions to you, sir.
Yes.
Sir, how come Jupiter is the largest planet?
Jupiter is the largest planet. I told you that during the early period of the formation of our solar system, scientists do believe there is this huge solar nebula, that consists of hot gases and dust particles there, huge mass of solar nebula. But some parts become solidified, cooled. Gradually, this nebula becomes cooled. Different parts cooled differently. And the largest chunk of matter where cooling takes place more faster, that solidified faster, that gathered more mass and becomes Jupiter. Jupiter, as you know, it is entirely composed of hydrogen gas. Okay, it is entirely composed of hydrogen gas. It has more gravity because of more mass. It has more gravity. So because it has more gravity, it pulled more matter into it.
Children, please maintain discipline.
Okay, because it pulls more matter to move around it. So gradually, its mass becomes more and more because of its more gravity. Okay, and by that way, it has accumulated a huge amount of mass, much like a star. That's why Jupiter is often called a pale star. Jupiter is the largest planet of the solar system because of its more gravity.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, children, for putting up a lot of questions to sir. Thank you, sir, for answering all the queries of our curious learners. We are really indebted to you for staying connected with us for one long hour through virtual mode. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
Please put your hands together for sir.